So excited! We've got Seth out here who was an engineer at Silver Dollar City for several years. We got lots of stuff. I shared a bunch of it in one video. Hey, we've got more because we couldn't get it all in one. Favorite memories?
Ooh, maybe here a while. There's a lot of them that stand out.
I mean, for us, I know we always love when we had the kids come up dressed up. You had a lot of people that wanted to sit in the front row of the first car so they could watch the engineer.
Oh, yeah.
And people who just hang out at the fence for you guys.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of that, yeah. And some of that comes from just different experiences, being able to even see something for the first time. Like when we did start running 504, I was a conductor. I actually robbed the day 504 first ran.
Yep. I think.
Oh yeah,
it was you and Chris.
Yeah, because you got video.
I happened to be out there that day, and it was like, oh, they're running the new engine.
Oh yeah, we were, really excited, and this was also new for us too. Not only is it the first time we had a new engine on the railroad since the late 70s, it's also the first one besides the Davenport, the original engine with a tender, and so it was just neat for us, and it was the first one that wasn't just a red cab on an engine, and originally German, but kind of Americanized. It was, the first one that we'd had a lot of work done to it aesthetically to make it look American. Yeah. And so we were really proud of that. I say we, but I wasn't a part of the that process before when 504 was running. Once a
Silver Dollar City train guy, you're always a train guy, regardless of,
So getting to do that and then getting to run, when we debuted 14, I was an engineer at the time, but the way my season worked out is I actually started layoff the week after opening. Opening week we ran 76, which I was fine with. That's one of my favorites. But I was also like, I really want to run 14 because, really excited to see how it does with passengers. And so I didn't get to run it until June that year because I had my layoff. And then when I came back, 504 ran until about June. And so then I finally got to run it, and it was really cool to be able to just learn something new with a new engine, especially once you'd kind of run some of the other ones.
Every guy's got their favorite engine. When I was there, because we didn't have 504.
Yeah.
So 76 was mine, because it was a beast.
Oh, yeah.
At the time. What was your favorite?
Mine is still 76. Even growing up, I always liked it the most. Then when I started working there, being as an engineer, started running it, I was like, this one's my favorite so far. And of course, for the first year, for all of 2018, I'd only run 76 and 504. And 504, to its credit, was still a new commodity, and there were things that were still trying to be adjusted and stuff. So 76 was definitely my favorite because, I wouldn't say it was easy to run because it steamed really well and it kept you on your toes, but I guess you could say you could always count on it to have steam when you needed it. And especially as a guy who's learning, that was always nice. So 76, but 43 is right there with it. 43 is a lot of fun, got a lot of personality. I like the way it's set up, the way you sit in it. It's very comfortable. I will say 43, when I first started running it, kind of made me a little nervous because the way you have to light the fire. The other engines have a bigger firebox. The burner's set up a certain way to where, you turn on your fuel, you have your burning newspaper, and you just toss the newspaper in there, turn up the fuel after that, and it kind of fire ignites within the firebox. 43 has a fire door. The firebox opening's about, I want to say, close to 10-ish inches in diameter. I could be wrong, but not very big. And the burner was pointed directly at the door. So even when you're purging the water out, you'll get water flying out the door, which that's not really a big thing. But it tells you where it's pointed. It didn't have a firebox floor. So if you toss the newspaper in and then waited too long to turn up the fuel, you wouldn't light it. So you'd have to have your hand right at the firebox door, hit that fuel, and try to get your hand out of the way before it shot, because it would shoot flames. Sometimes it'll reach car 1. It'll shoot a flame out pretty big.
And see, that's my memory is when they were showing us how to light the engines. It was 43. So we're all staying as these new guys. Well, I was the only new guy. But so I'm standing up there, and they said, watch this. Whoosh.
Oh yeah, it gets you. And there was, you can ask Cordell how many times he's lost some arm hair.
They had fun scaring the crap out of the new guy.
Right? Oh yeah, it's one that when you light it, everybody knows who's close enough, and because you just see the flame from the side from wherever you're standing, you can just see the flame come out.
The 76 was the one I remember. 76 was Rick's favorite. Because I remember him talking about how strong it was. He says that's the one you could put a chain around the building and 76 would rip it off.
Yeah. That one's 76 has a lot of guts, and even heard story of, I wasn't here for this, but for some reason they had to move all 8 cars, I think, through the tunnel, if I remember what I'm told correctly. And 76, all 8 cars, empty of course, but just in between both sets, pushed them through the tunnel. Not really a big issue, and I got to be a part of some of that too. We actually, I think there's a video of it. We were switching out the engines during Christmas just to give 76 a chance to run for Christmas that year.
Yep.
Part of the switching, 14 didn't have steam yet because the shop air compressors were out from the auto shop. So 14 was being wood lit, and the others had been lit by electric compressor. So 76 and 43 were doing their own thing, and I was running 76, getting things switched, and so you can actually see me with 76. Of course, it's not on a very steep grade, not very fast, but 76, 8 cars, and 14 on the front of it. Not really an issue. I was at the throttle and was like, it's not really that hard to get it to move. It's real. Yeah. Of course, it's light, no passengers on it, but still. It kind of shows the strength of that engine. And
she likes to go.
Oh, yeah. That's one thing, too, is when you pull on that throttle, she'll just whoop, go. And 43 actually is like that, too. Once you get it just right, you can kind of really start to just feel it taking off. It's easy to slip with that one.
I don't remember which one it was. I want to say it was 76. We had one time, we were out at the show, and there was something happen. We were behind schedule or something. I don't remember what it was, but we had to get back up quick. We did a real short show. Andrew was on the engine. Mm-hmm. And he and I were talking like, okay, we got to get to town quick. Hoof it. Don't tell Andrew you got to hoof it.
He will.
I was holding on to the railing on the back of the car. I was like, everybody else is seated. They're fine. I'm going, okay, folks.
Talking
that's
a million miles.
That's the spiel I've ever done. Because I'm trying. It's supposed to be, 6 minutes from the show back to the station?
5, maybe?
Yeah.
Not quite 6, but not quite 4. It's somewhere in between there. 3 minutes?
3 minutes. It was like... Because I checked when we were leaving and we pulled in and I'm like, okay, yeah, that was...
Yeah. And we're all intact, so we're good.
Yeah.
I had one of those moments as an engineer. It was actually the last Christmas that we ran to date, 2021. And we had some stormy weather coming in that night. So we were expecting... Because we get told when to stop running the train because of the proximity of lightning.
Might have weather why we did that.
Yeah. So, the weather phase 2 is lightning at 20 miles. 2A is lightning at 10 miles. The train shuts down into 2A, so we just have to get it to the depot unload. And then weather phase 2B, lightning at 5 miles. Weather phase 3, tornado
take
warning,
cover!
Basically, take shelter.
Had that a couple
and
times.
So we're waiting, still running 2 trains, because it was still a fairly busy night. Running 2 trains, so we kind of had talked about, okay, which engine are we going to get to the roundhouse? Which engine are we just going to take to the depot and leave it there? Because we couldn't just leave guests on board. And especially as the night went on, we wouldn't need a second train. So I get on 43 at the top of the hill because we're running 2. So one train stopped at the top of the hill, one's at the bottom. So I get up on 43, going down Patrick Egg Hill, see the lightning almost right above. Of course, still in the weather phase 2. I'm like, we're going to keep running because they haven't told us not to. And we get to the outer loop, which is we're just about to the show, and they finally call weather phase 2B, so they skip 2A, and straight so 2B. We're like,
oh, whoops, we missed.
Okay, so I'm instantly on the radio with Cordell, who's running 504, and we're trying to make sure we coordinate. Okay, 504, do not load. It's going to come around empty. I'm going to skip the show. We're going to try to meet at the same time and hopefully not have to stop, or at least me not have to stop because I have the guests. So I was heading down the hill, and wind picks up, and the lightning thunder is getting really close, and I can't remember if it started to rain yet at that point, but it was right on top of us, and I was, hustling it to the depot, and came out of the tunnel, called Cordell on the radio. He was up there, so I didn't have to stop, just kept on rolling, did our whistle acknowledgement, took off to the depot, got unloaded, and shortly after that, they called phase 3 for weather. So I'm like, all right, shutting this thing off. And so the guests were already unloaded when they called that. All right, gotta lock this thing out and go up with the conductors into the Christmas Hollow basement, which is our designated shelter at the time. And so, yeah, I was just kind of in the midst of all these people just waiting for weather clearance. And so I had a lot of people around me kind of looking at me, waiting for answers. I'm like,
we don't know nothing. Yeah, that's something that a lot of people think, oh, you guys all know what's happening. And
not always.
Especially weather stuff.
Yeah.
We had twice that we did the phase 3. But at the time, our evac center was actually the flooded mines loading station.
Okay.
Which was different. But we had one where it was blowing so hard, and we had a handful of guests that, oh, no, we'll be fine out here in the station. And finally, Rick and I both like, all right, y'all die out here. We're going.
We're going.
And then they realized when they saw us running, and at the time we had the long rain gear, it was blowing so hard it blew up under it.
Oh,
it was like, ooh, I feel like Marilyn Monroe. Yeah, that was not fun times when you get weather like that.
It's tough. And then we were down for a while because they had to, it was such strong weather that the other guys had to walk the track. So I'm babysitting 43, just sitting up at the depot. I say babysitting, it wasn't lit. So I was just standing, just kind of waiting it out. And I don't think we got another train ride in.
Yeah.
Because just the amount of time it took to walk the track and the time of the day, the park was just about to close anyway. So,
and that's one thing people may not realize is when you do get weather, you have to walk the track because you're inspecting for downed limbs and trees and debris.
Because you don't want to come around the corner and, oh, there's a limb across the track and I have to slam on the brakes.
They're constantly checking that track.
Yeah.
Morning walks, anytime there's weather, anytime there's a question about anything.
Yeah.
Somebody's out walking it.
Yeah. Related to weather, I actually, that same Christmas had the least number of passenger trains I took in one day that we were operating, and that was one. Because it was raining all day into the night. They finally cleared us of the weather phase. Well, I guess it was storming if they had us closed, but finally get the train out, bring it up to the depot. Of course, it's after dark, so we're doing our maintenance run in the dark with the Christmas lights on, and they turn it over to me. I get in the engine and load a few guests up. And I can't remember if we got back to the depot at that point or not, but they put us back into a weather phase, and so that was the end of the day. So we
had a few times.
Took it to the shop.
Storming weather, train sitting at the depot, waiting for the chance to go. Finally get the weather clear, walk the track, run the maintenance run. And I remember a couple times that we had groups on the train and get to like powder keg and they call it down again.
Yeah.
They're like, all right.
Yeah, that's the tough thing is when the weather goes back and forth and people are like, oh, we were just cleared. We just got to such and such ride, or we just got here in time for it to not be clear.
I think those days, they were probably worse. The worst for the robbers and the engineers. The robbers, because you're sitting out there in the robber check all day going.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved robbing. It was a blast, but there was nothing to do out there.
You're a little ways from any sort of civilization.
Yeah, so you just get bored to tears. And then for the engineers, you're sitting on the engines because you can't leave the engine.
Yeah, we can only go so far. So we, when we had the fire shut off and we just kind of sitting there, we could lock out the throttles. We could do things to make it to where, okay, we can walk away a little bit from it, but we wouldn't just, all right, well, we're going to go back, I'm going to leave this here and just go, unless it was, again, phase 3. Weather. So, we'd stand under the depot roof and try to stay dry, and especially because there was still a lot of residual heat in the engine, and most of that weather happened on hot days, or it had been hot all day, so you kind of look forward to the opportunity to step away from it.
You didn't want to sit in the engine when it's, 120, 130 degrees?
No, not always, I mean, and of course it was part of, you didn't always think of it, especially when you're moving, because you got the windows and, the wind blows in as you're moving, and so it feels a little bit better sitting at the show, sitting at the depot. Especially in the evening at the depot, I mean, the sun's right here just beating down on you on a hot day, so you get really hot and sweaty, and of course you got a furnace right next to you, and so it's nice to always get out of the engine. And
but by the way, in case you think I'm exaggerating on that temperature, I'm trying to remember what the thermometer was in there the one time I looked, and I want to say it was like 132 or some stupid number. It may be
Yeah.
100, I may be over a little bit. It may be 122. But I remember it was hot.
Yeah, it's generally, and it varies from engine to engine. Generally is about 20-ish degrees hotter in the cab than it is outside. So if it's 90 degrees outside, it feels about like 110 in there.
Yeah.
It's nice on the cooler days.
Yeah, you make up for it at Christmas.
Oh, yeah. There was even during the fall one year running 43 and days I was bundled up still trying to stay warm. And I was like, hold my hands on the jacket on the boiler at the show, just trying to keep my hands warm because it was, I had my gloves too, but they didn't really do anything.
I don't remember who it was on the engine. There was one Christmas. The way the trains are set up, the conductor can talk to the engineer, but the engineer can't talk to the conductor.
Nope.
But it was 18 degrees, and I'm sitting on the back of the train at the show. So they're doing the grandpa show. I'm freezing. I've got the hot hand warmers in my hands, in my feet. I'm just dying. I flipped on the deal with the engineer because he's up there nice and warm. Like, I just want you to know I really hate you right now. You are. I don't remember who it was, but
did you get a thumbs up out the cab? Like,
yeah, basically, yeah, because we could see hand signals. Yep. Yeah. That's about what I got was a wave. Like you're a jerk.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd actually give Steve a hard time when he'd be up there. I'd be like, man, I don't know. I mean, you might be cold. I might be getting a little too hot up here, you know? Just to really grind his gears.
And we did. We got along great. I had a ton of fun messing with the engineers.
Oh, yeah.
There were a couple times during the show I would threaten to shoot Ichabod.
I never heard of that, from our guys, from what I could hear, but you can't hardly even hear the show up there anyway.
Yeah, well, that's why Dick in particular, especially with Kevin Day and I, he'd make sure he locked the engine down. He would actually step onto the sideboard.
Oh, yeah.
So he could watch the
show.
Kind of
listen.
But yeah, we had a ball. I loved how tight-knit the train guys were. You'd get one every now and then that just didn't mesh.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a good time.
Oh, yeah. It was a lot of fun, for sure. A lot of different aspects of it that I really enjoyed. And, of course, it's kind of interesting. When I was a train robber conductor, I was really hoping, I really want to be an engineer, an engineer. And then when I was an engineer, there were times where I was like, I do kind of miss robbing trains. Mm-hmm. Not enough to switch back to it full time, but, I did kind of miss it. I was like, it'd be fun to rob a train again.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, your ideas. Be sure to share them in the comments below, or you can contact me. There's information in the description that has my email address, fan pages, information about merchandise, and so much more. So be sure to check that out. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, and if you haven't already, hit the button right up there to subscribe. And in fact, if you did enjoy this, I've even got another video for you right here. And also about these wonderful people here, those are my YouTube members and my patrons, the ones whose financial support makes this possible. I couldn't do it without them. If you want to know more about that and the perks that come with it, well, be sure to check the description. There's a link right down there. Thank you so incredibly much. God bless.